Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. No doubt starts now. This broadcast is for May 6th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is hour one of two. The goal always, promote God, family, country, protect life, liberty, and property, reject revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution, using the checks and balances, standing with the supreme law of the land. The good sheriff's in the house, Richard Mack, CSPOA.org. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Sam. It's great to be with you this kind of cool, unusually cool May morning, and we're loving it right now.
Cloudy rain coming?
Yeah, it's been for the last couple of days, just spotty little sprinkling here and there, but the temperatures are like 20 degrees cooler today than it was just a few days ago.
Yeah,
so but after this,
for that, right?
Yeah, well, after today, summer is coming to Arizona.
Gonna be a scorcher, people.
Yep.
And by the way, in some of the southern states and the Midwestern states and everything else, there's some, potential storms and issues going on as well. But hey, we're grateful we're in good shape as spring is enjoyable, to say the least. Speaking of enjoyable, POTUS, free Tina Peters now. Trump orders the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to release Tina Peters. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He directed the Department of Justice to take action. Is Pam going to get her out today?
It won't be today, but and I saw that, Sam, and in fact I got a text early this morning from one of our CSPOA members out in Pennsylvania. He said, "Did you see this?" And actually, the article he showed me, I had seen before. It didn't give this. It did talk about President Trump issuing basically an executive order to start trying to get her out. But my first question to him, and I'll be the same question to you and
to him, meaning Trump or your texter?
To the texter, yeah, to our CSPOA member. What if Colorado refuses?
Well, it's a fair question.
What's Pam Bondi going to do?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question. And
well, I can tell you what.
Did she violate? Hold on. Did she violate state law or federal law?
Well, first of all, she was convicted under state law, so Trump cannot pardon her. He would have already done that if he could. But can he have huge influence on this? I believe so. And the guy that texted me, you and I both know him very well, and he said, well, Trump threatened Maine to withhold funding, and he's threatened Harvard University to withhold funding, and he could withhold funding from Colorado if they don't start towing the line. Me, Sam, now I've said this for a long time. The first state that stops sending money to Washington, D.C. will be the richest state in the union. They won't have to worry about anything. But we'll see. I totally support Trump doing this because this was a huge injustice. This lady should not be in prison. She is not a criminal. She hurt no one. There was no victim on anything that she did. She may have been wrong about her estimation that there was voter fraud in Colorado and specifically where she was the county clerk or the county recorder for Mesa, Colorado. She could have been wrong. I don't know. I don't think she was. But she believed that there was a problem with the election, and she secured the vote tallies, and she secured the results of the election, which is exactly what a county recorder can do anywhere in the country. The state could have come back and said, no, we reviewed it, we've done an investigation, and you were wrong. That's the most it could have been, Sam. She did not commit a crime.
Understood and agreed. The other thing that the Trump administration could do through Pam Bondi and the Justice Department, though, is they could investigate the state of Colorado and the actions taken.
Now you're talking. Yes. They could investigate the corruption behind what she supposedly did or didn't do.
And if Congress had the guts, not only could they investigate the Tina Peters case and show there was election concern and show that it was shut down by the state of Colorado, basically committing a crime against Tina Peters. Now the question becomes, hey, who committed the crime? The answer would be the state of Colorado in this situation. And then you could basically, if you had the guts, I know Mike Johnson and Congress won't do it, but if you had the guts, you could say, hey, because the January 6th was a propaganda machine to stop Congress from looking into the elections, so was Tina Peters' case. And you could link the two, and Congress could say, hey, we're going to look into the election fraud of 2020, and we're going to free Tina Peters, and we believe this is all linked. I know that sounds crazy, but we could go down that road, Sheriff.
Yeah, exactly, Sam. And I hope that they really do take this to the nth degree, because it was such a huge injustice. And as you know, I attended part of the trial, and I was totally disgusted with the judge. I was totally disgusted with the prosecution and the Secretary of State who oversees elections for the state and supposedly for the counties individually. She's a crook. Colorado has gone crazy woke and crazy leftist extremists. And the reason they went after Tina was to make sure nobody else followed her example. And they were trying to make an example of her, and that this judge was so corrupt and so out of line in what he was doing in that court every day. From
and
the
let's
moment
be clear,
I walked
you went
in,
to some of that trial, right? So people understand.
Oh, yes, of course. I was there 2.5 days, and it lasted about 13 days, if I recall correctly. I went there the Sunday before it all started, and we did a big fundraiser for Tina, and I participated in that. And so I just really pray that Trump is able to do something for her on this. If they get crazy, like I think Colorado will, because they are crazy, and they want to start a fight, and Pam Bundy goes in there and she has the FBI investigating these people, and they see the corruption of this, I don't think Colorado wants to go there. That's the one thing they should be really afraid of. And the judge and everybody, I went in with my cowboy hat, and so did Senator Mark Fincham. And first thing he does is order us to take off our hats. And I still wanted to ask him, is this church? What's going on in here that's so sacred that I can't wear my cowboy hat? And so he was really strict about that, and really rude the way he presented it. And I said, so I just want to say, hey, this is part of my uniform. I'm a former sheriff, and what's the reason why I can't wear my hat? Because this is a court of law? No, this is a court of kangaroos is what it is. And,
You got that right. Now, what I want to point out about this, too, Sheriff, is I think that the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and Mike Lindell over at the Lindell Offense Fund, those are two of the greatest groups that have been really advocating for the freeing of Tina Peters. So I guess I think that you and Mike Lindell need to get together, reach out to the Trump administration and to Tina Peters and the attorneys and everybody else and say, listen, we're going to be coming to pick up Tina. Where do we go? When do we meet? What do we do? And I think we ought to start that effort. That's what they did for Stuart Rhodes and others, is they picked up a lot of those J6 patriots that got barbecued by Biden and clowns. But I think what we need to do now is start to say, hey, we're ready to pick up Tina.
Well, I would love to do that. And I would absolutely love to be a part of any of that. And I will tell you, last week, Tina Peters people called me, and they said, well, what else do you think we can do for her? And we kind of brainstormed it. And I suggested that they file a writ of habeas corpus on her behalf. And they did. And so I was hoping that this had something to do with that. It doesn't appear, though, that Trump knew that ever happened. So I believe that they're independent of each other. But still, the state has to respond to the writ of habeas corpus on her behalf. So I'm praying something really works there. If this other drags on in court and the fighting between Colorado and Trump keep going, then I hope the writ of habeas corpus does something.
Our prayers are for Tina Peters. We'll do everything we can to free her. Our prayers are with Scott. Go ahead and finish that real quick, Sheriff.
Sheriff Scott Jenkins in Culpeper County, Virginia. We're trying to get him a pardon. We're still working on it, Scott.
We got a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Sheriff Mack. We know you got to fly. We'll chat soon. Hang tight, everybody.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Like we say, POTUS, free Tina Peters now. You want to check that out? You don't believe me? It's on tap, ladies and gentlemen. We've been working on this for several months, and you can check it out at Whitehouse.gov/wire. That's the new website for the president, Whitehouse.gov/wire. It's there. Now, there's a big old battle over the Nord Stream pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. Trump says, quote, a lot of people know who blew up Nord Stream. And he doesn't say who, he just says a lot of people know who. And what's interesting is he doesn't name anyone. He doesn't name Russia. He doesn't name Joe Biden. He doesn't name anyone. But what I find fascinating is this brings to light this soundbite where Biden promises to stop the Nord Stream 2 pipeline if Russia invades Ukraine. Well, that's already been a battle that's gone. They invaded the Ukraine, and Joe blew it up. And now people are wondering who blew it up. Joe won't admit it. But here's my question for you. And I want you to think about this question. And then I want you to hear this soundbite of Joe himself. If Joe Biden blew up the pipeline just like he promised, then is Joe Biden a war criminal? And why would Donald Trump not name Joe, call him out, and prosecute him for his war criminals activity? Here's Joe when he was asked about the pipeline before it was blown up. Listen to Joe.
There will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
will you commit today to turning off and pulling the plug on Nord Stream 2? You didn't mention it. You haven't mentioned it.
As I already said, we are acting together. We are absolutely united, and we will not taking different steps. We will do the same steps, and they will be very, very hard to Russia, and they should understand.
So you've got Joe Biden and then the German chancellor, I guess that is, or whatever, a representative from Germany saying, look, we're in lockstep on this thing. Joe says he'll be able to blow it up, and he promises, I will. Biden promises to stop it, to shut it down, okay, it'll be gone. I promise. He's like, how can you do that? It's under Germany control. You don't have any authority there. Well, it's gone. Now Trump says a lot of people know who blew up the Nord Stream. Now, my question about this is, it's very interesting. Why wouldn't Donald name someone? Why wouldn't Donald name Joe? Did Joe do it? When we say a lot of people know who did it, most of us think that Joe did it. Why? Because Joe's literally on record saying he can and he will do it. And when the pushback happened, like, wait a minute, it's in the sovereign country of Germany. How would you do that? He's just like, listen, I promise I'll get it done. Don't worry about it. I'm just telling you right now it's going to happen. When you make that kind of a bold statement and then the German counterpart doubles down on that statement with you and says, we won't be taking different steps. We're in complete lockstep here. We'll be taking the same steps. Everybody needs to know this. I don't think you can dismiss it and say anybody else did it. The real question is, how come we don't have Joe Biden? How come we don't have criminal Joe Biden on the stand, under oath, where we say, Joe, did you have, or did anybody you know have or order, or the pipeline to be destroyed? And you need to ask the question in a holistic manner. Get some attorney to ask it right, because I don't know where the loopholes are. I'm not an attorney. But did you know about, or did you order, or did you have someone else order, or did somebody on your staff order, or were you involved in the carrying out or orders? And what we find is that governments are very good at creating, oftentimes, private contractors who are given orders to execute. The orders are given either verbally or in some written form, and then that form is destroyed. So there's no real way to tie back the contractor's actions to the government that sent those contractors. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just telling you that oftentimes that happens. That happens with assassinations around the world. It happens with acts, covert actions. For example, this pipeline. So it might be that the CIA director gave authority to some private contractor to blow that up. And then Joe could say he didn't do it. He didn't know about it. He had nothing to do with it, but it happened. See, we need to get the people who could order or make that happen under oath and force them to testify and force them to come clean. And we need to have serious penalties for noncompliance. You can say, well, Sam, that's extreme. Come on, that's over the top. No, it's not. You literally blew up a CO2 pipeline. Nord Stream 2. It's not a CO2 pipeline. I'm sorry. It's a Nord Stream 2 pipeline. It's a gas pipeline where, I think people suffered in the winter and the cost of fuel went up and all this kind of stuff for this. And it's a retaliatory action. I believe very unconstitutional. The president doesn't have authority to do that. Now you could say, well, if it's in Germany's territory and Germany approved it, then okay, or what? All I'm telling you is what this thing was under the sea. I don't really know whose jurisdiction what's in. I'm not an expert at this. But I'm telling you, when Trump says a lot of people know who blew up Nord Stream, and Trump promises to stop Nord Stream, and they even ask how you're going to do it, he's like, oh, man, don't even worry about it. I'll get this done. That's not just a statement or a hint that he might have done it, or he was kind of saying it's a bad idea, or we'll do this or that, and then, hey, it happens, and it's like, plausible deniability. No, you literally said, I promise it'll be done. Play the soundbite one more time, Liz. See if you can grab that. He literally promises that he can get it done, and then the German counterpart doubles down with him and says, we're in lockstep.
There will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Will you commit today to turning off and pulling the plug on Nord Stream 2? You didn't mention it. You haven't mentioned it.
As I already said, we are acting together. We are absolutely united, and we will not taking different steps. We will do the same steps.
So you literally have, it wasn't like, hey, I'm thinking about this or, whatever. It was like, I promise I'll be able to do it. Don't worry about the details. I'm telling you. And then they're like, hey, we're together on this. This is what we're doing. I don't know how to respond to it more than that. Why aren't we prosecuting, suing, arresting, I don't know where this goes, Joe Biden? To me, it's an act of war. You could say, well, Joe has authority. He can do whatever he wants. No, he doesn't. Where does Joe get authority to destroy gas pipelines that are built by other people? Right? Who built Nord Stream? Who blew it up? What happened? Okay, I don't see any real effort to get to the bottom of it. Now Trump's saying, hey, a lot of people know who did it. Trump, let's get serious, my friend. You're about to lose Congress. You're about to lose your upper hand because Congress isn't doing anything. I mean, besides a couple of little weird cases, you haven't even arrested anybody or shut down any government agencies at all. Most of the work Doge has done is going to go by the wayside, right? All right, there's a New York Times report out now. Listen to this. The Trump administration has reversed course on a proposal to cut all funding for, quote, Head Start, USAtoday.com. All right, the White House reneged on a plan to zero out funding for Head Start. That's a preschool education program relied on by hundreds of thousands of low-income families. Now, I find that interesting. Why would Trump reverse course on this? Well, there was some lawsuits. Remember, Trump's getting sued over everything that he does. But, man, when Trump reverses course on this, I thought we were going to get rid of the education department. And now he can't even get rid of Jump Start. Jump Start's like when kids go to the government school before they're even 5 years old, before they're even in kindergarten, right? They're like 2 and 3 years old going to government indoctrination camps. Trump says he was going to yank funding. Then he reneges. He reverses course. Folks, what's this all about? I'm not here to attack Trump. Okay, I like a lot of what he's done. But I'm kind of going, man, this doesn't pass the smell test. What's going on with this? I mean, if you're going to stop any government education program, the one you could stop the most would be, hey, all the little kids that are 2 and 3 years old, we don't really need to put them in an education program. Leave that to parents. Let them start in kindergarten or whatever. But if you can't get rid of that, how much of the education department do you really believe we'll be able to get rid of? And I believe we'll be able to decrease some funding. We'll be able to slow some things down. Those things can happen. But I don't see us really shutting down anything. If you can't defund or zero fund Head Start. I don't know why I keep saying Jump Start. That's a program that we work with a company that I work with. They jumpstart their employees and give them training on things. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. It's Head Start. If we can't really even get rid of Head Start for 2 and 3 year olds, how are we going to get rid of the education department, people? See, Trump's made a lot of promises, and he's done a lot of good. But, man, there's several things that just make you go, what's happening here? Why would we ever reverse that? Lawsuits? Afraid of something? Well, if we can't do that, what else can we get done that we promised, huh? I sure hope we can get enough done because, man, we have got to use our time wisely. We're running out of time rapidly, folks. All right, hang tight. I'm Sam Bushman. This is the one and only Liberty Roundtable Live, nationally syndicated radio talk show.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Trump administration is offering illegal immigrants $1,000 if they self-deport, voluntarily returning to their home countries. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest. The Trump administration puts Harvard on notice. The university, which has a roughly $53 billion endowment, should expect no more federal grants.
The U.S. Education Secretary claimed Harvard was making a mockery of America's higher education system. Linda McMahon said the university needs to address anti-Semitism concerns stemming from pro-Palestinian protests on campus, as well as school policies that consider a student's race. The school said the letter reinforces demands which impose unprecedented and improper control over the university and makes new threats to illegally withhold funding for life-saving research.
The BBC's Carl Naisman. Canada's new Prime Minister will come calling on President Trump later this morning at the White House.
President Trump told reporters yesterday he wasn't sure why newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was meeting with him today. He suggested that Carney may want to discuss a trade deal with the United States. During his successful campaign, Carney stood up to Donald Trump, vowing that Canada would never become America's 51st state.
And that's White House correspondent Craig Clugston. German lawmakers set to vote again on the next chancellor. This hours after Friedrich Merz failed to win the first round in Parliament. It was an historic defeat for the conservative leader. Defense Secretary Hegseth ordering the active duty military to shed 20% of its four-star generals. Watching Wall Street this morning, stocks have been in the red so far. The Dow is down 304 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
3 years ago, I wrapped up a run of Annie playing Daddy Warbucks with the South Carolina Children's Theater. I was about 40, 50 pounds overweight, tired, sick, fed up with the way I felt. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I had to do something. I scheduled my weight loss consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. And as they say, the rest is history. Just a few months, I lost over 50 pounds. I took control of my health. 3 years later, I've kept the weight off and I feel better than ever. If you are where I was, do what I did. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. It'll change your life. It's fast, it's simple. They won't let you fail. Just give them a call at 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. That's 855-696-2020. 855-696-2020. Here's the best part. First 11 callers who mention the keyword healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Don't wait. Call today. 855-696-2020. Mention healthy to get 2 free weeks or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, following the headlines today, ladies and gentlemen, POTUS, free Tina Peters now. A big old battle between Colorado and the Justice Department will ensue. Biden promises to stop the Nord Stream pipeline, swears he'll get it done. Trump now says a lot of people know who blew up the pipeline. Oh, yeah, Donald, why don't you name them? Why don't you prosecute that clown? Joe did it. Let's put them all under oath and find out, shall we? Let's tie the Tina Peters to the January 6th discussion, and let's get truth to power on that as well, President Trump. We support you. New York Times reports that a new book is out, and it reveals that top Biden aides declined to have Joe take a cognitive test. Why? Because they feared mental decline. So these clowns are admitting they knew it, and they avoided the test, and they avoided the discussions. They used he's president, and you can't get to him as their excuse. Even Mike Johnson, Republican, knew it a year in advance that, hey, Joe wasn't all there. But why would they let that guy possibly run to serve another term? Why would they allow the Democrats to pull the wool over our eyes? The answer is because they're all part of the deep state. And as a result, ladies and gentlemen, all of them are in bed together against we the people. Mike Johnson and other clowns included. Anyway, the Trump administration has reversed course on a proposal to cut all funding to Head Start. The White House reneged on the plan to zero out. So they're putting their budgets together, and everywhere you look, they're increasing spending. They're not decreasing anything. It's a disgrace. Now, RFK Jr. is doing his best. 19 states sue RFK Jr. and the Trump administration for overhauling HHS, that's what, Health and Human Services, because of their staff cuts and all the work that RFK is doing. Good for RFK. We need this yesterday. It's just a disgrace. Anyway, the other news, the shoe company Skechers is being acquired for more than $9 billion. They're going to take it private. This 3G Capital is going to take Skechers private. The deal comes among growing uncertainty about how President Trump's tariffs will relate to making products overseas, particularly China, in the crosshairs. Now, can I say that if I'm peaceful in the crosshairs? All right. Anyway, very interesting. Oil prices in the news as well. Oil prices fell to $57 a barrel after the OPEC Plus cartel said this weekend that it would, quote, pump more oil. So is that good? They're going to pump more oil. Well, they say because of Donald Trump's tariffs, there'll be a tapering off of need for oil. So if you have a less demand and more supply, well, maybe the price of oil will tank. Maybe gas will go down to $1 a gallon, huh? Far-fetched idea, but it would sure be a blessing, wouldn't it? We could use a break, in my opinion, when it comes to costs on fuel. But I got another question. If we are really going to, if we're really going to decrease our dependence on foreign oil, let's say they produce more oil, and let's say that the economy doesn't do too well, so there's less demand. Well, then will there be any reason for Americans to locally, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, create new oil reserves or create new oil opportunities? At some point you'd say, well, it doesn't make any sense to crank up new stuff. Well, if we stop buying cartel oil from the Middle East, in other words, the OPEC Plus cartel, if we stop buying oil from them, then it seems to me that we could have a great internal need and use. And the question becomes, is there a trade imbalance relating to oil? If they are the cartel, they increase their output, Are they just trying to make sure we don't internally produce our own oil? See, I think we need to put tariffs on that stuff, and we need to work on producing our own oil. Right? We need to create ways to pump more oil right here in the United States, don't we? That's what Trump's trying to work on. But, of course, he's hitting a buzzsaw everywhere, as you know, right? So that's of great concern. Citing national security, Donald Trump says he would impose a 100% tariff on movies produced outside of the United States. I don't know how I feel about this headline, people. Citing national security, Trump said he would impose a 100% tariff on movies produced outside of the United States. And I don't know what that means, right? Let's say that I'm American. I live in the United States. I'm an American citizen. And let's say I get funding from an American company. And let's say I'm paying American actors and actresses and everything else. And I go overseas to film, let's just say I create a French romance movie or something. And so I want to go over to France and film all the beautiful whatever. Is my movie going to have a 100% tariff on it? What if I just go and use stock footage then and I don't go over to France anymore? Will that change the game? This is a very interesting tidbit. I understand what Trump's trying to do. He's saying we're getting eaten alive because we can go to all these places and film movies for way cheap, and it basically, takes America out of the movie-making game. I get it, and I appreciate that. I don't know that I agree that it's a national security concern like Trump says, but I will say I understand his point. But at the same time, how far do we go? Where's Congress? How come everything we talk about, Congress is just absolutely MIA? You got to call your member of Congress and say, what's going on here? Who's supposed to control the tariffs in the first place, right? Turns out the Trump administration, though, doing a good thing now, offering $1,000 and flight assistance to any illegal alien that leaves the United States of their own volition. So if you're not an American citizen and you're here illegally, you can literally say, hey, man, I'll leave for $1,000, and they'll basically put you on a plane, send you back to your origin country, and hey, you get $1,000 to start your new life back in your old home or back in the old world, wherever you came from, right? I think it's a brilliant plan. I think it'll save a lot of money. I think it's what we need. I think, hey, it's a peaceful way. It's not hostile. It's just simply saying, hey, we'll let you get started. Now, $1,000 is not a lot of money. However, if you're going to get arrested and deported, you might as well go peacefully and get $1,000 on your way out. Then you could start to say, listen, if you leave legally, you get $1,000. You get help with your flights. And in other words, you get your costs of travel going back covered. We might even add to that saying, hey, you know what? If you want to come to the United States, we'll give you an application. And if you're not a hardened, bad criminal guy, then there might be a way forward for you. Whereas if you don't take our deal and take our $1,000 and our flight assistance to voluntarily leave of your own volition, then you might never be able to come back to America again. And so we can use a carrot and a stick here in addition to this to really get aggressive. And I pray that we do. Okay, I don't want to be evil or mean, but I will say this. I know people that are trying to come to the United States, but they don't want to come illegally. They could just hit the border and be here, right? But they don't want to do that. What they want to do is they want to do it right. And I'm told it's going to take a year plus for this person even to be able to come to the United States to live while they work out the rest of the citizenship offers. It's very sad, very interesting, right? The administration created what they call the CBP app. It's a phone app, and it includes a feature for illegal immigrants to declare their intent to self-deport. So I guess you can just get on that app and boom, self-deport, and then they'll pay you $1,000 and everything else. I find that great news. I want to see more of it because I like this peaceful. We're not gonna cause you problems. We're not gonna kick in your door and be evil to you. We're just saying, look, you cannot jump the line. There's people who are legally trying to get here, following all the rules and the guidelines. Congress should update those guidelines. But hey, if you self-deport, we get that you might have wanted to come here for the right reasons, that you just want safety and the opportunity for prosperity and you believe in America. So you're going to have to leave peacefully because you can't jump the line. However, if you do, you know what? We'll give you $1,000. We'll give you some transportation, and you might have an opportunity to come back. All right, there you have it. We're going to talk more about immigrants in a second. There's a big old battle on TV shows. The mainstream press just absolutely out in the weeds and demonstrating their ignorance on a daily basis. We'll break it down for you in seconds. I am Sam Bushman. We got an incredible guest next hour, too. Hang tight. It's all coming up in seconds on your radio.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
All right, back with you live. I am Sam Bushman. Hard-hitting talk and headlines at your fingertips. LibertyRoundtable.com for the talk show. LovingLiberty.net. Spread the word and show the love for the nationally syndicated radio network. Great hosts around the clock and all kind of things happening. So, I don't even know how to handle this. NBC News host Kristen Welker suggested that, quote, illegal immigrants are entitled to, quote, due process under the Constitution, prompting Republican Florida Rep Byron Donalds to argue that the sheer number of illegal border crossings under Joe Biden has made that, quote, untenable. Now, if that's really true, that it's untenable, then Joe Biden needs to be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Because if you have a bunch of people here illegally and you can't afford due process for them because of the actions of a president, that virtually creates an invasion. And Joe Biden's guilty. Joe Biden's guilty of that, right? Well, so the battle ensues, but I got to agree with Kristen Welker on this one. All right? She suggested that illegal immigrants are entitled to due process. I agree with that. But let me be very clear when I agree with that. Because a lot of people are going to attack me for agreeing with that, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you the truth. I agree everybody's entitled to due process. But due process is different for an illegal alien, and especially different for a criminal illegal alien, than it would be for a law-abiding American citizen. The standard of due process is not the same. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you rob a liquor store. And let's say that we have evidence that you did it. And let's say we bring you in, and we're going to go ahead and take care of business, right? And we bring you in, we, take your fingerprints and find out who you are and all that kind of stuff. If it's an American citizen, then you've got to go to the process where you say, hey, we're going to give you a trial. We're going to let you have representation. We're going to let you, subpoena or get information. All the prosecutory, you're going to gather all the information. Due process is you're going to face your accusers. I mean, we can go on and on and on. It's got a lot of steps to it, a lot of components to it. Need a trial of your peers in a jury, etc. We don't have to give that much due process or the equivalent due process to a criminal illegal alien. Okay? We need due process, which is, hey, did you commit this crime, robbing the liquor store? But we don't have to go through all the elements to get that done. We can simply say, oh, wait a minute. You're here illegally. You're not a United States citizen. We've given you due process by finding out that you're illegal. You shouldn't be here. You violated laws to be here. Now, we don't have to go through all the same due process. Nobody says you get a right to face your accusers or a right for a jury of your peers. Who would be the jury of peers for an illegal criminal alien? Are you going to build a jury of 12 criminal illegals, and that's their peers? Or do the American citizen become the peer of the illegal? See, that's the problem with this discussion. I don't believe that a criminal illegal alien, like an MS Gang 13 member or something like that, has the same due process as a citizen. Because I don't believe that their peers, which would be other illegal criminal aliens, I don't believe their peers can be on a grand jury in America. And if they can't, your peers aren't American citizens. See, that's why I'm saying to you that we got to afford them some due process. One, did you commit the crime, yes or no? Two, what's your status? Are you an American citizen? And I don't think that the due process is the same. If you're a criminal illegal alien and we find out that you're here illegally and now we just have evidence that you robbed a liquor store, we don't need to go to the same level of due process that we would afford an American citizen. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. All right. Anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention because that's a big old battle going on. And I'm sorry to side against Jeffries, but Jeffries is like, hey, that's untenable. And we just can't do that because there's just too many people. I don't agree with that either. You've got to give people due process. I get that you can kick in a door and grab an illegal and bring them in and find out, hey, are you here legally and what laws have you broken and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know that this Florida rep makes sense. Byron Donald is saying, hey, we can't even do that. Look, you've got to. And if you say, well, Trump or Biden brought in all these illegals and made this impossible, then we need to prosecute Biden. Okay? Because at the least, Biden, by bringing in all these people, if we can't give them due process, it breaks down law and order. See, you can't pass the buck. You can't have Peter rob Paul. You got to have accountability. All right, final story of this hour, U.S. News. I find this interesting. U.S. News ranks the best states for 2025. Stephen Ross Johnson with the article. I find it very fascinating. It turns out that Utah is the best state in the union. Utah, the best state in America, is home to a diverse and a resilient economy. Smart students, low crime, and a fairly healthy population. USnews.com with this piece. So pretty cool. Utah hits the top. Now, I think it's a great state. I think it's got a lot of socialism problems. But there you have it. Anyway, first launched in 2017, the best states ranking assess the United States, 50 states. They call it across 8 categories. Here they are: healthcare, education, natural environment, opportunity, economy, crime, and corrections, and infrastructure and fiscal stability. And Utah hits number 1, and they say it's done so for 3 years in a row. That's pretty cool, right? That's way cool, if you ask me. Great news. So anyway, Utah's a great state. If you're a patriot, would like you to move to the great state of Utah. Idaho's a great state, too. If you're a patriot, move to Idaho. Let's get good, honest patriots, constitutional conservatives, moral high ground folks that want to stand up in the culture war in these 2 fantastic states, shall we? Oh, I do have one more story before the end of the hour. I don't know what's going on, but the New York Times, Donald Trump said they were going to go away, that he was going to just shut them out because they're just propaganda press and everything else. He hasn't got that done yet. In fact, the New York Times has been growing by leaps and bounds. There's an article written by Katie Robinson about this. New York Times gets 4, I repeat, 4 Pulitzers, and ProRepublica wins for service. The New Yorker won 3 Pulitzers, and ProPublica was given the Pro Service Award for its coverage of the deadly consequences of abortion across the country. Folks, how on earth are we allowing the New York Times to win 4 Pulitzers? And the only answer that I have for this is, hey, the Pulitzers are run by the same liberals that run our press, right? Anyway, there's a bunch of different reasons that the New York Times won or everything else. So they're not on the ropes. They're cranking up their digital subscriptions like nobody's business. And they're doing quite well as far as I can tell, the New York Times is. I mean, I think they're a liberal rag, and I get all that. But at the same time, anyway, there you have it. They talk about these liberal groups winning. And it just tells me the same people that run these press are the same type of people that run these press organizations, the New Yorker, ProPublica, the New York Times, all that. As far as I can tell, these people are really the same ilk. Okay, how many people trust the New York Times? And you say, well, Sam, they've been increasing their subscriptions. Yeah, going from paper to digital, they've been increasing. But a lot of people get subscriptions just to do the word puzzles and to do some of the other gimmicks and games and things like that relate to some of these new website, quote, news reinventing themselves organizations. So I don't know that it really means what they think when they say it's growing. But why would you give these guys Pulitzer Prizes? Everybody knows the media's in the tank. And I'm going to answer from my perspective. The reason that I think that they're doing this is because they want to counterbalance the negative approval rating of these media services. If you say ProPublica is awesome, the New Yorker's awesome, the New York Times awesome, then you kind of try to counterbalance the negative news. But look, at least 1/3 of Americans are like, hey, these are just the clown press. We don't trust them. We don't like them. We don't believe in them. And we don't even want to watch them or read them or view them or whatever. And so more and more people are starting to wake up to the truth about the new media taking center stage. The old guard failed. Absolutely betrayed the people. Lost confidence. You're seeing a sea change. And you're seeing it right now. And so all I can tell you is that's good news. But I wouldn't trust the folks that are, whatever you want to call it, giving people, Pulitzers and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I know it's a great award of the old days, but in the new days, it's basically turned into an award of shame, it seems to me. All right, hour 1 in the can, hour 2 coming up. We've got a great guest. We're going to talk about President Trump's order on Alcatraz. Let's talk about that. Very interesting. They say it's going to be really expensive to crank up Alcatraz again. Let's get an expert's opinion, shall we? We'll do it in seconds on your radio. I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Networks, lovingliberty.net. God save our republic.